Or not to kill. The debate over capital punishment in Nebraska is front and center again as lawmakers battle over whether the state should be in the death business. This time, death penalty opponents have some unlikely allies. Good evening, I'm Craig DeGrelli.
And I'm Jennifer Griswold. Victims' families are joining lawmakers and prosecutors raising questions about the best way to punish a killer. KMTV Action 3 News reporter Josh Egbert spent the day in Lincoln and joins us live with the latest. Josh?
They call it a false promise. Families of murder victims are calling for the end of the state's death penalty. They say it's unnecessary, but prosecutors say some crimes call for this kind of punishment.
It's hard, but to take it one day at a time and still celebrate his life. No matter what, we still celebrate his life.
It's been nearly 2 years since Trisha Moore's son, Jeray, was shot and killed inside his apartment near 83rd and Underwood.
We had no clue that Jeray had been shot and that he was gone till like about 12 o'clock midnight.
Jeray's killer, Devon Griffin, was sentenced to 60 to 70 years in prison after taking a plea deal, a sentence Moore was hoping for.
Really thankful that I didn't have to go to trial because that would have been extremely hard.
Moore stood side by side with other families of murder victims at the state capitol today as they fight to repeal the state's death penalty. They say it prolongs their suffering and wastes taxpayer dollars on endless appeals.
I see the death penalty as being revenge, and I was brought up to believe that revenge is wrong.
Legislative Bill 268 replaces the death penalty with a sentence of life without possibility of parole.
For the 38th time, Senator Ernie Chambers is introducing a bill that would repeal the penalty and replace it with life in prison without the possibility of parole. 2 years ago, Chambers was just 4 votes from getting the bill passed. A filibuster by then State Senator Scott Lautenbach brought debate to an end. Douglas County Attorney Don Klein opposes the bill. He says prosecutors use the penalty in extreme crimes.
I mean, Nebraska's not a state that levels the death penalty very often, but certainly there are those cases where we feel it's an appropriate means of punishment.
Klein did say there are problems with this bill. He mentioned an inmate in Douglas County who has been on death row now for more than 35 years, and that is something that the state legislature needs to address. Family members argue that each time the murderers go to court and appeal, they have to relive the night their loved ones were murdered. We're live tonight outside the state capitol in Lincoln. Josh Egbert, KMTV Action 3 News.
Nebraska's last executions came in the 90s. The state executed Robert Williams in 1997, John Joubert in 1996, and Harold Willie Otey in 94. All 3 died in the electric chair. They were the only people executed since the Supreme Court reinstated capital punishment in 1976. 11 men are now on Nebraska's death row. 3 of them are from Omaha area cases. Carrie Dean Moore faced several execution dates for the 1979 murder of 2 Omaha cabbies. Arthur Lee Gales faces death for raping and strangling a 13-year-old girl, killing her 7-year-old brother, and trying to kill their mother in 2000. And a judge sentenced Roy Ellis to death for abducting and murdering 12-year-old Amber Harris in November 2009.
Executions have been on hold in Nebraska for more than 17 years, while lawmakers and the courts wrestle over the way the state would put to death convicted killers. The state used the electric chair until 2008, when the Nebraska Supreme Court ruled electrocution is cruel and unusual punishment. Lawmakers then approved lethal injection, but the state's batch of sodium thiopental expired in 2013 and is no longer made in the United States. If lawmakers outlaw the death penalty, Nebraska would join 19 other states, including Iowa and Washington, D.C. Find out more about capital punishment, those on death row, and answer our poll question at KMTV.com.